Mirror, Mirror, a short story by Giovanni Acevedo. The reflection in the mirror always seemed a little strange, a little off. At times, Emma's reflection would hang in place before moving. Even if it was just for a fraction of a second, she would still notice. Emma never mentioned this to anyone in fear that she might be made fun of, fear that no one would believe her. The mirror was given to Emma's mother when she was born by the neighbor's estate. Old Miss Mildred Pencrip was a quiet and intelligent woman. She passed away at the age of 87. She lived through the Great Depression. This mirror was one of the few possessions she had left, one of the few things she always hung on to. The wooden wall mirror was around 3 feet tall in length and 2 feet wide. It had an intricate pattern of roses and vines etched around the outside edge. It hung on the same wall of Emma's room for the last 12 years, and no matter how many times Emma looked into that mirror, it always felt like she wasn't looking back at herself. It was the morning of Emma's 13th birthday, October 13th, 1982. Fridays were always her favorite day of the week. It usually meant a lazy day at school, followed by 2 days of no school, no teachers, no rules. Well, house rules still applied, but she was still happy. 3 o'clock rolled around, and Emma was finally free at last. She walked over to the bus pickup zone and waited for the number 307 bus to roll around the street corner. Emma was preoccupied with her friend Rosalind when she pointed over to the street. "Hey, Emma, isn't that your mom over there in the red car?" asked Rosalind. "Oh, yeah, it is," said Emma as she ran over to the car and waved goodbye to Rosalind. "Hi, honey, surprise! I thought I'd pick you up early and we'd hit the mall before we went home. Dad and Charlie should be home by then. What do you think?" asked her mom. "Free clothes and makeup?" "Yes, please," responded Emma. After a couple of hours at Twin Summit Mall, Emma and her mom headed home around 6 p.m. in the evening. Emma's mom parked the car and they both exited the vehicle. "Here, honey, take the keys and open the door. I'll get the bags from the trunk," said her mom. "Are you sure, Mom? I can help you too," responded Emma. "No, it's okay, honey. Just make sure your brother did his homework, and I'll be right in," said Emma's mom. Emma went to the front door and slid the key into the keyhole. As she turned the key, she felt a slight coldness overtake her body, and goosebumps raced across her arms. She shook off the feeling and looked back at her mom unloading the shopping bags. Emma turned back around and pushed the door open to enter into the darkness that stood within their house. "Hello?" said Emma into an empty house. She could barely see past the couch in the living room. "Dad? Charlie? Are you guys home?" asked Emma as she stepped further inside. She turned to her right as she heard something approaching the living room hallway. "Surprise!" screamed a chorus of voices. Emma took several steps back, the words still stuck in her throat. "We got you, didn't we, honey?" asked her mom as she walked into the house behind her. Emma was on the verge of tears, but she quickly smiled and started going around the room hugging her friends, shaking hands with their parents. "Oh man, you should have seen your face, Emma." "That was classic," said Rosalind. "Oh, shut up. I had a feeling that my parents were throwing me a surprise party anyways," said Emma unconvincingly. Emma's thoughts came back to that eerie feeling she had right before she entered her house many times that night. She couldn't shake the feeling that it was something more than the darkness of the house. Maybe it was just walking into a room full of hidden people that set her off. She kept feeding herself excuses, but none of them sat right with her. The night went on without incident. Games, cake, gifts, and laughter. A perfect birthday in her eyes. Nearing 9 o'clock, everyone started saying their goodbyes and taking pieces of leftover chocolate cake with them. Emma stood by the front door and thanked everyone individually for coming to her birthday party and for the gifts they had given her. After everyone had gone, she helped her parents wash the dishes and clean up the decorations. "So, did you have fun?" asked her dad. Emma nodded her head and a smile flashed across her face. "Did you like what I bought you, sis?" asked Charlie as he tried to hide his laughter. "Yes, Charlie. Thank you for the whoopee cushion and the fart joke book. Timeless gifts," said Emma as she laughed and shook her head. "Oh, One more thing, honey. Here, this is from all of us. Your little brother even chipped in chore money for us to get you this. Hope you like it," said her mom as she handed her a neatly wrapped gift with a purple bow on top. Emma looked curiously at the wrapped gift and smiled. She quickly unwrapped it on the kitchen table and started to cry when she held it up. "A Sony Walkman? Oh man, thank you guys so much. I've wanted one of these since they first came out. Thank you, thank you, thank you," said Emma excitedly. "You deserve it, sweetheart. Here are a couple tapes that the store clerk said are their current best sellers," said Emma's dad. Emma ran back to her room and closed the door behind her. She jumped onto her bed and unwrapped the Sony Walkman. She examined it in its entirety and then inserted the batteries. She inserted the cassette and plugged in the headphones. The moment she pressed play, I ran, so far away, by a flock of seagulls blasted through the speakers located inside the headphones. Emma was ecstatic. She ran over to the old wooden mirror hanging on her wall. "Whoa, these look awesome," she said aloud as she turned back and danced around her room. The reflection in the mirror did not turn away. It did not move an inch as it stared back at Emma dancing around the room. Its eyes followed her every move in a menacing trance-like state. Emma's reflection placed its fingertips against the mirrored glass and pressed against it. Slowly, the reflection's fingertips broke through the mirror's reflective barrier and gradually inched its whole body down the wall and onto the carpeted floor. Emma, still unaware of what was happening, continued to dance and jumped onto her bed. The cursed reflection crawled around her bedroom floor, getting ever closer to her. After a few moments, Emma jumped onto the carpeted floor and landed in front of the mirror with her eyes closed, holding a hairbrush in her right hand as a fake microphone, still singing the song that played in her headphones. When she opened her eyes, she immediately stopped singing and dancing. Her mouth remained open in disbelief as she saw her whole room in the mirror, but failed to see her own reflection. She drew closer to the mirror in order to get a better view, but nothing. She rubbed her eyes frantically and opened them again. To her relief, she saw her reflection staring back at her. As she stared intently at the mirror before her, she noticed a shadow rise up behind her in the mirror. When the face came into view, she saw her own face standing behind her in the reflection. Emma's mirrored face slowly dripped and melted away to reveal Miss Mildred Pencrypt staring back at her. Emma opened her mouth to scream as an old, deteriorated hand shot up behind her and covered her mouth. Tears streamed down Emma's face as she struggled to free herself between muffled screams. Miss Mildred Pencrypt's mouth curled into a sinister smile before this facade melted away as well. The hand covering Emma's face turned a ghostly white color. Emma looked back up from the hand covering her mouth and noticed the face staring back at her looked like a ragged old woman. Deep wrinkles covered her face. A giant crooked nose protruded from above her cracked and broken smile. Her expressionless eyes were black, void of life or hope. Emma struggled against this person, no, this thing, this wicked creature that had a hold on her, but it was too strong to overpower by force alone. "I'm free again thanks to you." Mildred Pencrypt's body served as a fine vessel for the time she lasted. "It's your turn now, human. I've waited trapped in that mirror until your 13th birthday, waiting to be set free and move on to the next vessel," said the reflective cursed being. Emma watched in horror as the thing holding onto her opened its mouth wide, with its yellow, cracked teeth dripping creamy, thick saliva before biting down on her head. With one quick bite, the cursed reflection had swallowed Emma's head, followed by her entire body. The reflection stood before the mirror as Emma came back into view. It admired itself in the mirror and fixed its clothing, smiling with an air of pride. There was a knock on Emma's bedroom door. The evil creature looked over and heard Charlie ask if he can come in. "Sure thing, Charlie," said the thing in Emma's voice as it looked back into the mirror and saw Emma's face smiling back.